Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. Little late on our schedule of almost trying to be bi-weekly, but we get episodes in when we can. It's the off season, so we don't have any weekly obligations here. But yeah, we're about to next week we'll be into June. Can you believe that?
No,
No.
I actually can't. And it's the 5 hour time difference, I think, is caught up to us a little bit. It's getting a little tougher to
Yeah.
schedule. But one thing that'll be easy to schedule with the 5 hour time difference. How do you feel the London series is coming? Phillies are coming
hmm
over.
hmm
The Phillies who are what did I see? They've got the best 50 game, 50 games into the season or whatever. They have the best record in MLB history since the 2001 Mariners.
Really? Is that the
Very
Mariners that
impressive, man.
won the World Series or the ones that lost it?
Nah, the Mariners that didn't win. This was the A-Rod. They had
Mm.
everyone and their grandmother on that team. But listen, the Warriors team that set the NBA record, they didn't win the championship. The
Why
Patriots were
don't put
17-0. They didn't win the
this bad
championship. Like there's a lot
mojo
of
up in here?
listen, like the fact that you didn't win a championship actually adds to your credentials of how good you are.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean it's an exciting. I mean, right now, as of right now, 38 and 15, 717 winning percentage. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they did lose 2 days ago, and then they beat the Rockies last night. But now they are losing 5-2, and Suarez gave up 5 runs. He was lights out,
Suarez
and so he was due
undefeated.
for a bad game.
I mean, he's undefeated on the year.
Not anymore.
Maybe it's just me, but I feel like baseball teams are just killing it this season. I mean, we have a like something that we haven't seen since 2001 for the first 50 games, and the Yankees are like 2 games behind us. They're 37 and
They're
17.
yeah,
You got the Braves in our own division. They're like 30 and 20. Like, they're 6 games back, but I mean, they're right there. It's this season, I feel like there's a lot of teams really balling out.
you have a couple powerhouses, and then you have like a lot of 500 and below teams.
Yeah, but it's those teams that you slip up on. But Mets and Phillies in London, very excited. I am
hmm
sure you are, lukewarm about it because, why not?
What time are they even playing? Is it like when I'm sleeping?
Pretty sure the Sunday game's at 6. The Saturday game, or no, I'm sorry, the Saturday game's at 6. The Sunday game, I think, is at 1 or 2. So you're looking at a 8 a.m., 9 a.m. start for that one.
Yeah. On a
If you were
weekday,
a real fan, this one you'd be a question.
there's 160 some games. I think I'll be all right.
No, you know what? No, 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 no. See, these are my rare moments where I can stamp it down and be like, you need to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, crack a bush
If
light,
it was the
and watch the
playoffs,
Phillies. No, no.
uh,
I stayed up until 5 o'clock in the morning to see the Eagles lose the Super Bowl. I stayed up until 5 o'clock in the morning to see the Eagles
okay,
lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
that's different.
I stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the Astros beat the Phillies. You need to stay up. You need to stay up. I not even stay up. You need to wake up. I don't even want to hear this. You will disgust me if you don't get up for that game.
Is it on the weekend or the weekday? Because your boy
It's a
works.
weekend. There's
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
Hmm.
Sunday is earlier than Saturday.
Is that this weekend already?
Nah, June 8th and 9th. Saturday, it's a 1 o'clock game for you. If you don't do something for the 1 o'clock game, I'm leaving this podcast right now. Sunday, I want to say it's a 1 o'clock game, maybe 2 o'clock game. Either or it's 8 a.m. or 9 o'clock for you. If you
Hmm.
don't have a bush light in your Cheerios for that game,
My Cheerios.
disgust. Disgust.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Are you all right? Flip it. Would you rather watch the Phillies, we'll say 9 o'clock in the morning
No.
or 1 in the morning?
9 in the morning.
Then you just answered your own question. No excuses. You better be up there with your bush light and Cheerios.
Okay. Fair enough. Spiked breakfast. Here we go. Can I just have a
There you go.
mimosa instead? Like, what do I gotta have beer in my Cheerios?
If you're up at 9, I'll let you have whatever you want. That's fine.
Okay, I'll
But you
have
better
mine.
be up there at 9 with the game. Actually, no, 8 o'clock. You got a pregame. You got to get yourself ready.
Pre-game by myself to watch the Phillies game.
Listen, whether you do it
Uh,
with people, yourself, your cats, I don't care. But you better
maybe
be
with my
awake for it.
cats. Yeah,
Do
I'll
you
do
realize
them.
the devotion I have to put in? The research I put in this podcast, man, if I didn't watch the games and follow everything, we just have to listen to your ridiculous takes. And that would have gotten us nowhere.
Hmm. Well, I don't know.
But nonetheless, we digress. We'll see you at 9 a.m. on June 9th with the Bush Light in your Cheerios. But this
Right,
is about the schedule.
right. Anyways, but yeah, so Phillies are doing phenomenal. Awesome to see. Which was like not really ironic, but like the fact that they sucked the first like 2, 3 weeks of the season, and Nick and I went to the home opener and they lost like 9-2 or 11-2, whatever it was. Now that they're just bullying every single team. And I also hate the narrative right now that like they're like, oh well, the Phillies have only beaten teams above like a couple teams above 500 the last month. I'm like, yeah, but if they weren't beating them, those teams would probably be above 500, right? Isn't that how
I'm
win-loss records work?
I mean, I didn't get very far in math in my college career, but as far as I know, that's how math is.
Every team plays every team. I mean, I don't know. Like that, I'm sure the Yankees and Dodgers will lose a series to a bad team. Like, does that make them a lowly team because of that? No. So why did Phillies get that? I haven't heard anything about the Yankees playing poor opponents, and that it's always I don't know what people just hate Philadelphia. I mean, I know why, but uh, it's just funny.
I mean, yeah, it's they're professional teams. At the end of the day, it's everyone's schedule. This is like what the Eagles dealt with. I mean, the Eagles are a bad example
Mm,
though because we went 10-1 to start the season.
it was a bit of a
But
cupcake schedule,
yeah, but you
but
know
you still got
what?
to win.
Transition that one. This year coming up is not a cupcake schedule.
Um, I,
It's
it's a, I think it's not
really,
bad. It's not that
really.
bad.
I actually think this is a tough
Really?
schedule.
Well, we're
All
we're
right,
gonna go through it.
one to
So
10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Let me look at it again. Well,
I
we play the NFC South. Okay, that could be a sweep, and then we play the
Sure, yeah.
AFC North. So that could be tough.
The AFC North is very strong. The NFC South, yeah, you're right. The NFC South stinks.
I
But the AFC North is very good. I think you're
difficulty
looking about
6 out of 10.
you're
I
talking about
don't.
I mean, you're talking about the worst division and the best division at the same time.
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
I would say 6 out of 10. The difficulty. I don't. I think
Oh
it's very
no.
winnable.
I see. I'm thinking 7.5. Leaning closer to the 8 than I am
I
the
think
7.
I think based on last year team's win percentage, we're like top 15 easiest, I believe. Something like that.
Yeah, but you know what? But all right, so hear me out. So here's the thing. This is the thing about our
I think the
schedule that
Cowboys
you
have the
always
hardest
have to
one.
but this is the thing about the schedule that you always have to factor in. The Cowboys are actually a good example because they're playing the same AFC North and the same NFC South that we are. The thing you have to factor in is that the worst opponents on our schedule is going to be 2 games of the Commanders and 2 games of the Giants, both dumpster fires that will forever suck for the next decade, probably. But they're division teams. Like you were going to lose one of those Giants games without even like you definitely will lose one of those Giants games. Like we play the Panthers and they suck and that'll be nice, but the Commanders and Giants both stink, but these aren't like normal sucky teams. Like these are division opponents that know us well.
I mean,
We got
Washington
rid of
always
Boston
gives us a
Scott,
fucking game.
but listen, we got rid of Boston Scott. That cannot be factored in enough. Like the
Okay.
Giants will be very tough this year.
He didn't do
But
anything
like,
this year against the Giants.
but you know what? We're gonna lose one of those Giants games. The Commanders are gonna play us extremely tough. Like when you look into the fact that yeah, the
Washington could
Panthers
be
are a joke.
decent.
The the other 4 easiest games are you 5 easiest games is probably the Commanders, Giants, and then the Panthers. Maybe the Falcons if you want to throw them in there.
Mm.
But oh, actually, the Falcons with Kirk Cousins I think could make some
I
noise.
think the Falcons could make some noise. Not like, nothing crazy, but I think they win their division.
You know what that I did say the NFC South was the worst division in football. I actually think they got a little more more respect out of them.
I
The
think
the
so.
Buccaneers in week 2 I think is a good time to play them. You know, we'll be fresh off the fact that they beat us in the playoffs.
Falcons week
But
two,
the
Bucks week 4.
or I'm sorry, yeah, I'm looking at it the wrong way. The Falcons week 2 with Kirk Cousins, I don't think is going to be easy. The Bucks week 4, I mean, they beat you in the playoffs. I think you have to beat them.
Hmm.
I think you should have beat them in the playoffs last year.
They destroyed them in the regular season. We beat them this past year in the regular season.
Yeah, the fact that we played the AFC or the NFC South 3 weeks in a row is a little odd. Week 2, week 3, and
Oh, I
then week
didn't. Yeah,
4.
I
The
didn't even realize
Saints,
that. That's weird. Yeah,
the Saints have to be the worst team in that division. Surprisingly, like Derek Carr's awful. Their team is falling apart.
who they
I don't know
draft?
what Michael Thomas does. Ryan Ramczyk maybe is healthy. The team is lost.
Spencer Rattler. He might take over for Derek Carr.
Boy, did you watch the Netflix documentary years ago about the one quarterback or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
If there is one person you want to root against, it's Spencer Rattler. The guy sucks.
He's a Walmart Patrick Mahomes, but even that's saying too much.
Do you now let me ask you this. Do you have like Facebook memories on like occasionally your Facebook reminds you of what you posted 7 years
I
ago?
don't think I have them on, but Facebook likes to shove them in my face. Yes.
Yeah, I've been still trying to figure out how to turn them off because I hate every second of it.
Yeah,
Like
they're terrible.
every day I'm just like, wow, I hate
Well,
myself.
I used to use Facebook as like Twitter. So like I would just like post a status in high school, and then when I would look back in those memories, I'd be like, I was like, what? Who the fuck am I talking to? What the fuck am I talking about? Be like, just
Did
ready
I
to find
like
one. They're always terrible.
it? It is torture. I hate seeing my Facebook memories pop up. And what's even wilder is like we're the age that like when I have kids, I don't think I'm going to add my kids on Facebook. Like when they eventually get Facebook, I'm just not going to add them because I'm not gonna lie. If I added my parents on Facebook, I'm going to go scroll until they were my age and see what they were saying. And from what Facebook is reminding me of, I don't want that to happen. But I remember watching Spencer Rattler on Netflix, like number one quarterback live, like when he was in high school, it just came out, and the guy is awful. Like he sucks. He's such a villain. Like you just instantly root against the guy. He's Peyton Manning in high school, and he acts like he's Peyton Manning. He's got a backup quarterback behind him that I think went D1, who he just shits on at every possible moment. The guy sucks, and I don't think he ever got out of that shadow because
Mm.
as cocky as he was, he had to be Patrick Mahomes to justify that because he's awful.
He had one
So I
good
think
year,
part of
and
me
then after that, he transferred like 14 times.
Exactly. Well, that's part of the thing. Like he went with Lincoln Riley originally, and then Lincoln Riley transferred, and I think he wasn't invited to USC, but the guy I remember watching him live on QB1. He was so unbearable. You rooted against him, and now that he's in the pros, you're like, I still remember this guy as a diehard football fan like myself. I don't forget him. Like I still root against him. I hope he does really bad, just because I
Mhm.
can't get over the fact how he treated Johnny or Matt or whoever the hell was his backup quarterback at the time.
Oh no. I do have I just found a Facebook memory 13
Oh,
years ago.
please,
No, this is a good one.
please.
This is a good one.
Oh, I love this.
May 26th, 2011.
Oh,
Dakota Hur Dakota
junior year of high school.
Dakota Hurst posted Wilson Valdez pitching. Oh my God, Phillies win in the 19th inning. Do you remember that?
Honestly, no,
You don't? Well, I forget who we were
no.
playing, but we literally ran out of pitchers, and Wilson Valdez was
Oh,
like a
yes,
shortstop, and he had to like
yes.
step in and pitch, and he won the game.
Oh, you had
Got the
to, I mean,
W.
forgive me. I love sports and Philadelphia sports in particular, but the name drop of Wilson Valdez does not hit immediately.
I
The,
actually have
shortstop pitching, I do remember.
I actually have a signed Wilson Valdez photo of him pitching.
That's the
Probably
most
the
extreme.
greatest
You know what?
piece of
Wait,
merchandise
I
I have.
remember that. You've had
Yeah.
that for quite. I remember. Yeah, I
Wait, we got it on
remember.
Black Friday, I think. I think you were with
I
me.
was just saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember.
I was like, who, $20? Hell yeah, sign me up.
All right, you know what? All right, hold on, take that back.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is a great Facebook memory.
See,
That is a
sometimes they
great.
hit.
You
Nine out
know
of
what?
ten, they miss,
Out
but
of nowhere, you like 13 years, like mine are like 13 years ago. You posted, "School sucks. I hope that it's summer vacation." I'm like,
I
God,
hope the
this
school
guy sucks.
burns.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
math homework. Like, oh boy, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah,
Wilson
they're
Valdez, 19th inning, Black Friday. I do remember that. I vividly remember that.
hmm.
Chamonix Mall, I want to say it was.
It might have been. Yeah, it
R.I.P.
might have been. Shout out.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Is it closed?
No, I don't know. From
Oh,
London. I thought it was closed.
oh, damn, interesting.
I'm out of touch. I could have sworn it was closed.
You think I would know? You're the one that lives in a different country, but
Yeah, you make me second guess myself. Only the fact that I'm not over there.
anyways, so yeah, back to so
Yeah,
this
so
episode.
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Spencer Rattler in a nutshell, his that Netflix show with him, he sucks. But yeah, so open the season,
Well, hold on, rewind real
Packers
quick.
in Brazil.
I did find so this is strength of schedule based on Vegas forecasting. So odd lines, basically. The Falcons have the easiest schedule, followed by Chargers, Bears, Jets, which is funny because the Chargers had like the hardest schedule last year. And
Hmm.
then hardest schedules this year: Steelers, Patriots, Browns, Ravens, Vikings. Eagles have
Um,
the ninth easiest schedule, strength of schedule based on Vegas betting odds.
See, but that's like that's so warped
But they
because
never mean anything because last year we had, was it last year or the year before? We had like, well, like third or fourth easiest, and then it ended up being like by the end of the season, it was like one of the harder schedules. So,
looking at this though, like looking at this, the six hardest games we're gonna have. Panthers, obviously a joke at home.
mhm.
The Saints, I think the Saints are terrible. We already touched on Spencer Rattler. Then your other four easiest games in your top six are two in the Commanders, two with the Giants, but those are division teams. Like that's the problem with the Eagles. Like their schedule gets graded off the fact that the Commanders and Giants both suck, but those are division teams. We always struggle with the Commanders or the Giants.
Yeah,
Like you can't grade them off the same scale. The Panthers are terrible. They drafted number one overall. The Commanders drafted two overall.
mm.
But that doesn't mean we can grade them with the same scale.
True, true,
It's
true,
just
true.
it's how it is. We took the Commanders in overtime, and in the first game we played against them for the number two overall draft pick team.
Hmm.
So I think that's where our schedule gets skewed. But
Let's start it off
I
then.
mean, if
Let's
you
let's let's
yeah,
go
start
game by
off the
game here.
Brazil,
So,
obviously the Brazil game.
yes, Friday, September 6th, 8:15 p.m. on Peacock. What the fuck?
I just want to say that I will be staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning to watch that. So you better be up at 9 a.m. for the Phillies game.
Hopefully we're
Just
back
throwing that
back
out
to
there.
that. All right. So Packers, I think, funny enough, I think the Packers are getting. I think they're a good young team, but I think they're getting way too much hype for this upcoming season. I think because they dismantled the Cowboys, which I loved, and then took the 49ers into the late fourth quarter, that people are like, okay, Jordan Love is the truth, and this team is really good, and these wide receivers are actually really, really talented. Let's let's see them do it again and not just, 4 weeks at the end of the season. Like they were garbage the first half of the year. Let's not forget. So I like to see them do it again. I think they'll be competitive. I don't think they're a top 10 team like a lot of analysts, experts are putting them in, but I think the Eagles should win this game. I think it'll be close just because of the whole in a different country, first game of the year, first month of this year is always or first month of the season is always a
No, of course,
coin
of
flip.
course.
So I don't know
I
what
will
hurts more.
say, I mean, I'm going to roll into week one and week two here. The
Okay.
Eagles, they were, 10-1. They fell apart. They lost in the first round playoffs. We all know that.
Hmm.
I mean, we talked numerous times about this. I said this from week one to the end of the season last year. I thought the coordinators were a disaster. They fired the DC middle of the season. Brian Johnson should have been fired, but they didn't have a replacement for him. Sirianni kept his job because he went and got two established veteran coordinators. And I like both signings. The locker room stuff I think is okay. The biggest rumor was that AJ Brown wanted out. They signed him to a huge extension. I think everything's okay there. If they don't go 2-0 to start the season against a young Packers team and then a Falcons team with a new quarterback with their own drama and a young team, then I have questions because the Eagles are a team that's ready to compete. They had some issues last year. If they go 2-0, then I'll leave the questions from last year alone and leave them to last year. They made some big moves. They brought in
A
some
lot of
real
moves.
coordinators, real coaches. I think they go 2-0 to start the season. I'm buying in. I'm buying in that there is no locker room issues. The coordinators are strong. Sirianni is not a joke. the locker room is still there. I'm buying in that they start 2-0. I think they beat two good teams. I think the Packers are a good team. I'm buying into the
I say they're
what they did
bad.
last year. I'm buying into the Falcons with all the offensive talent they have with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is in a good situation. He is Kirk Cousins, but he's got a ton of offensive talent. I'm saying they go 2-0 to start the year against two, I think, playoff teams.
I think, yeah, I don't think the Eagles are going to come out guns a blazing in these two games. I think they're going to be sloppy but competitive games against, like you said, two
As you
good
should.
teams.
It's the beginning of the season. You just need a win. That's all that matters.
I mean, realistically, so I agree. Green Bay, Atlanta, pencil those in is dubs, and Atlanta's home Monday night home opener, so can't lose that game. Um,
No, no,
then
absolutely not.
then at New Orleans, and I agree with you. I think New Orleans is going to be bad this year. So, I mean, take the birds and then they go to Tampa. You can't, coming off a playoff loss to them.
I
Um,
can't imagine if they don't like. I mean, part of me is saying is like if you can't get up for the week 4 against the Buccaneers. I know it's in Tampa, but come on, they beat you in the first round of playoffs. Baker Mayfield's back. The team is not that good. Come on now, like you should have never lost last year. The week before the bye, I really think you're 4-0 going into the bye.
um, yeah, and I mean, also Devin White revenge game if he pans out and starts the season well for us. That could be cool. So yeah, I agree. 4-0. I hate week 5 being the bye. I think that's the first week you can have a
Yeah,
bye.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Um, yeah, that's ideal bye week is between 8 and 10, I would say.
At
Those are
least
like
halfway.
that's a
Yeah,
sweet spot.
absolutely,
Week 5
absolutely.
is criminal.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really rough.
all right, so we have the Birds going 4-0 into a bye. Then we have home hosting the Browns. Um, I don't know who's starting quarterback for them. I then what's his name go over there? Um,
Deshaun Watson's still there. What do you mean?
yeah, but so is oh wow. How am I blanking on his name? He's such a fucking character.
No, just it doesn't matter. Deshaun Watson is the starting quarterback.
All
They
right,
don't have
well,
any other choice. I'll tell you this. This is a low key, very tough 5 game stretch.
I think the
You've
Browns are
got.
good. They have a phenomenal defense.
I think the Browns are good. They got a great defense. Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's had
I won't
a
put him in
ton
my
of
top 10
problems,
this
but
time, but
I mean, listen, like time solves everything. Eventually, we're going to move on from all the injuries, all the lawsuits, all the bad contracts, and eventually, like he's got to eventually be good,
Jameis
or
Winston.
at least,
That's
yeah. I
who
mean,
that's who they signed.
this 5 game stretch is going to be rough, and you're talking about the Browns at home, who I think are a very good team. I not very good. I think the Browns are going to be a strong. They're playoff contender. They went to the playoffs last year. I think
Hmm.
they're a strong AFC championship team. Giants at home. We already touched on the fact that yeah, the Giants are a joke, but they're still a division team. We're gonna lose one of those games to them. The Bengals or I'm sorry, the Giants away, the Bengals away. Burrow's gonna be back. That's a tough game.
Yeah.
The Jaguars at home. We bring back Dougie P's coming back. Dougie P's gonna be up. He's gonna get a standing ovation. We're gonna throw the roses at his feet as we should, but I think the Jaguars are a good team. That's not gonna be an easy one.
No.
And then you got the Cowboys in Dallas. That's a tough 5 game stretch right out of the bye.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the first 3 weeks here. I think you knock off the Browns coming off the bye at home, but
I
I think they're
agree.
gonna drop the next two. I think you
Really?
drop the next two. Yeah, you go away. Listen, you're gonna lose the Giants. Like that, you can just pencil it in. You're gonna lose one of those games to the Giants, and I think it's that away game.
I don't think so.
This is the thing though. Like the Giants, like they're a trash opponent to every other team in the
Yeah,
league,
but
but
they
they're our division opponent.
no. The Giants up until last year, the Giants were never a problem. Like we were just manhandling them every year for years.
Yeah, but
I don't
I still I wouldn't be surprised if we slipped
know.
up against the Giants. It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm gonna say sweep the Giants, split with Washington, split with Dallas. That's what I would go.
I think we split with the Giants before we split with Washington. Washington, I still think is a shit show.
Oh.
So I'm giving you a win at home against the Browns coming off the bye,
All
which will be
right.
a tough game. That is a tough game. I think Deshaun Watson is better than what we've seen. The defense is legit. The Browns were they're division. They won a playoff game last year. If I'm correct, yeah. Joe Flacco
Hmm.
won a playoff game, didn't he? I think the away against the Bengals and the Giants are tough. I wouldn't be surprised the Eagles get caught looking forward against an away game in Cincinnati, who's probably a Super Bowl contender, and after a big win at home against Cleveland. I would not be surprised if they slipped up and dropped that Giants game.
I could see it.
I
I
mean, right
mean,
now, I still have them 5-2. Like, I would not be surprised to
I
see them if they're. Listen, I have them 5-0. Just week 6. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped that game in New York.
so I'll go by okay, going into the bye 4-0. Then I say I agree with you. I think the Browns game could be a coin flip, but I'm gonna say Eagles take care of it more so because it's at home. Um, I think they beat the Giants. I don't know what crack you're smoking. Put them at 6 and
I,
0.
I'm just telling you, man, they're not the
No,
same joke that they are to the rest of the
they're
league.
still a
They're
joke.
division.
Daniel Jones is
I mean,
still a quarterback, and
you're right about that.
so I think the Bengals could be a potential if they get it that far Super Bowl opponent. So let's say that the Bengals take this one first. So I'll take the Bengals beating us week 8. I I really don't want to do it, but I could see if they come out of the bye, win to 2 games, go they're undefeated, and then drop 3 in a row. But I just can't see them dropping 3 in a row after how last year went. So I'll say they lose to the Bengals, but then they beat the Jags at home, but then they lose to Dallas in Dallas week 10. So
I
that
actually agree with you there. So, I
that put
mean,
them at 6 and 3.
The Jags, we're talking week 9 against Jacksonville, and this is our third home game. So
Or
at
excuse
this
me, seven
point,
and
I
two.
have us. What was that?
I said they'd be 7 and 2 according to how I put this.
I have them at 5-2. I don't know where you're getting 7-2 from
Did you
against the
do
Jags.
Jags and Cowboys? I said they beat the Jags, lose to the Cowboys.
Oh no, I'm not that far ahead. Come on now, you can't
Well,
skip over me. I'm at the Jags right now. Relax.
okay.
So I'm at the third home game of the season. It's week 9, third home game of the season. We're 5-2. We just came off back-to-back losses. Dougie P is now home. Again, we stand up, we throw roses at his feet as he deserves.
Sure.
Standing ovation. The place gets torn down. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 interceptions. We win
Four
that game
four
easy.
fumbles.
Ah, man, come on. Mr. Trevor Lawrence loves a good turnover. And part
He
of the part we
does.
haven't talked about much, this secondary I really think is going to become the strength of the defense this year.
Ooh, I
I
hope
know the
so.
defensive line, the pass rush has held us strong for the years past. I think the secondary is the strength of this team. But I have us 5-2, rolling into the third home game of the season of Week 9 against Jacksonville. We win that. We go to the Cowboys away. This one, I don't know what the Cowboys' schedule is.
Hmm.
This one I have us winning. This one I think you drop 2 in a row, you go to the Jacksonville, you win. I just think this is one you get up for. I don't know where the Cowboys are at. Maybe they get up for this too, but something tells me you get up for this game, and they go out and they win this one in Dallas. Not an easy one, but they
Mm,
win it. So I've got us
interesting.
at 7-2 at this point.
So lose to the Giants, lose to the Bengals?
Lose to the Bengals, yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
You beat the Jags, and I'm gonna put a bold claim out there on national TV, which I assume this game is gonna be. You go into Dallas and you win.
It's gonna be this game is actually a 4:25 game on CBS.
Okay,
That's weird. NFC
I
East
take it.
game on CBS. I guarantee Romo's calling this, but
This is, you know what? I can already smell it. This is going to be the game. They're hyping that up the week before. This is the game of the week.
yep.
I don't know what the Cowboys' schedule is, but you have to factor the Cowboys will be, in November, the Cowboys are going to still be pretty good. It's not until December they fall apart. So they'll be
Yeah.
pretty good in November. They love to be relevant in November.
But after that, the Eagles have a Thursday night game at home against Washington. Um,
Now, this one, no, this one, I did take the Giants to beat us in New York.
mhm.
This one is definitely a Washington win. If you beat the Cowboys, the quick week, dude, Thursday night, I know it's at home, but this is a classic Eagles
So we're
slip up.
flip-flopping because I'm gonna do the opposite. I think they get their shit together after losing to the Cowboys week 10 and then they beat Washington at home on Thursday.
See, I'm falling with the momentum. You drop two to the Giants and Bengals, back to back. You beat Dougie P at home. You ride that into in Dallas. If you beat Dougie P in his return game on Sunday Night Football, may I add, and then what I think everyone's be circling for a week in advance against Dallas, game of the week, that Thursday Night Football, quick game back, even if it's home, they're definitely dropping that Washington game.
I don't know.
If they win, mark my words now. If they beat Dallas in that game, which I think they do in Dallas, they
Okay.
drop that Washington game on Thursday Night Football. That's actually torture
That's such a letdown.
from the
That's
schedule
such a
makers.
letdown, though.
Yeah, but you know what? That's like, dude, you would you ask yourself, would you be okay if they beat Dallas in Dallas and they drop that Thursday Night Football game against Washington? Of course you would. What are you over here
I mean,
pausing and
I'll
thinking?
take a win over Dallas over a win over Washington. Yeah, but anyways, all right. So we're back and forth here, but so heading into week 12, I have the Eagles 8-2. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. I got the Eagles. What I got is three losses: Washington, Bengals, Giants. I got us 5, 6, 7, 7-3.
All right, and then Rams and Ravens. This should be interesting.
The Rams. I mean, I have them losing on Thursday Night Football to the Commanders at home. There's
Hmm.
no way they lose to the. I don't care if they have to go out there. There's absolutely no way on a long week. There's absolutely no way they lose that game. If they drop it to Washington, there's no way they lose to the Rams. So I got them winning against the Rams.
All right,
So you have
so
the
I
Rams
got
game.
yeah. I have they beat the Jaguars, then they lose to the Cowboys, then they beat Washington. Um, I don't like this. I would like them to beat the Ravens, but I don't think it's healthy for this team to go back and forth, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. So I'm gonna have them beat the Rams and then I guess lose to Baltimore.
I have them doing. I mean, I have them doing. I just think that. All right, so I have them 8-3. I think going into the Rams game,
Hmm.
which I have them winning. There's absolutely no way that they lose to Washington, which I think they will, coming off a big win against Dallas on big time TV on Thursday night. They're going to beat the Rams. I Dallas or I'm sorry, Baltimore in Baltimore on primetime TV after Sunday night football win against the Rams, who I think honestly could be competing with the NFC. I mean, regardless of the situation, in Baltimore is a tough game in itself. I think that's a tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. Wouldn't be mad if they lose. That's just one of those. Could be a Super Bowl preview, coin flip.
Yeah.
I think they dropped that game. So I'm at 8-4 right now,
Hmm.
if my math is correct. But this is where we take off. So I'm at eight
Okay.
and four. I'm just gonna roll through it.
Okay.
They smashed the Panthers at home.
All
Coming
right.
off a loss,
Hope
they
so.
just smashed the Panthers.
Okay.
Steelers, they're going to crush them at home too. This is the nice thing. Like, I mean, we were talking at week 9, you're talking about 3 home games.
Hmm.
Well, 4, considering they had to give one to Brazil, but at week 9, they have 3 home games. It's kind of insane. So we crushed the Panthers. I think they're gonna make quick work with the Steelers. I really am not blown away by the Steelers. I don't care who's playing quarterback. You lost the Commanders in the first time around, which I think they're gonna do. You smashed them there. Cowboys at home, late in the season. The Cowboys are going to start falling apart. This is what they usually do. I again have them losing the first matchup, so I think they win that one at home. And then they just destroy the Giants or put the backups in against the Giants to end the season. So I got us at what is that, 13-4 to end the year,
Okay.
which is right around. I mean, that's right around where I think they should be. I mean, you're talking about a team that finished at what were they? Uh, 12 and
11-1.
5, I want to say last year. 11 and
Oh, well,
yeah.
they were 11-1 and then they finished. Well, yeah, I
I want to say it
forget.
was 12 and 5. Yeah. I mean,
5-1.
that was a complete absolute collapse. And
Yeah.
like I said, I think they addressed their biggest issues with those coordinators. They brought in some good talent with Barkley and they re-signed AJ Brown, great draft, CJ Gardner Johnson, which I think was a good signing. You're gonna miss Kelsey. Cox, is gone. I think you're okay with Cox because you drafted for this. Carter, Davis, they need to step up. I think you're okay with that. Kelsey, I think is gonna be a bigger loss, but this team, I mean, the coaching staff, the roster, there's absolutely no reason they shouldn't be 13-4. So that's what I'm rolling with.
I got so quick recap. So 4-0 into the bye. Then they
Yep.
continue winning 6-0. Lose to the Bengals, rebound against the Jags, then lose to the Cowboys. Beat Washington, beat LA Rams, lose to the Ravens, so that puts them 3 losses, I believe. Yeah. And then I think again, I agree with what you said. I think they basically go on a run here. I could see them tripping up against the Steelers. I think if they
I
beat
mean,
Baltimore, they lose to the Steelers. That's just how
really,
that's.
with the joke of the Panthers in between. I mean, you got 4 of 5 home games to end
I
the
think
season.
they'll take care of the Steelers, but they're always gonna. I mean, it's Mike Tomlin. They're always gonna be competitive. But
I mean, the way I look at it, the that toughest part of the schedule is going to be Browns at home,
oh, I agree.
Giants away,
Right after
Bengals
the
away,
bye,
Jags at home.
yeah.
But the easiest 5 game of the schedule is going to be Panthers, Steelers at home, Washington away, Cowboys and Giants at home to finish the season.
But so yeah, I'll have them beat the Panthers, beat the Steelers. I'm gonna have them split with Washington. Um,
So
I
you have
think
them losing to Washington away.
in week 16, yeah, because I think at
Oh,
this
there's no
point,
way. No
no,
way.
I think at this point they almost have the division locked up. I think Dallas is not gonna have a great year. I think Washington's gonna have like around 500 year. So I think they'll be okay with losing to Washington. So they split with Washington, then they beat Dallas week 17, and then they beat the Giants week 18, and then finish 13-4, just like how you
I'm
had
telling you,
yours.
I'm okay with splitting with Washington. I think it's going to be week 11 though. I mean, if you like I said, if you I can already
No,
see this episode. If you tell me that they're going to beat the Cowboys in week 10 in Dallas on the national game of the week, you said CBS 425, which is just absurd to have an NFC game of the week at that time.
CBS.
I will hand Washington the victory on Thursday night the following week. I know it's at home and that sucks, but that's the week where I think Jaden Daniels offensive rookie of the year hype just maximizes. They're like, oh, he just knocks off the Philadelphia Eagles, but you just look at the schedule, like the emotional win I think you're going to get on Sunday Night Football against Dougie P at home, and then knock off Dallas and Dallas. I'd give Washington that win on Thursday Night Football. Just quick turnaround. There's no way they lose 3 weeks with less than 3 weeks left of the season against Washington.
I don't know. Either way, we both had a bit of a different uh turnaround here, but we both finished 13-4, winning that division, I assume. So
Yeah, but this is what I expect. This is what this team is. They
hmm.
are a legit Super Bowl contender.
We were
If
last
they're
year. We
not,
just fell apart.
I mean, if they're not a 13-4 team, then I'm extremely disappointed. You've invested way too much in veteran players. You corrected what we thought were the issues from last year
And
to not be
upgraded
a 13-4 team.
positions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
The loss of
I would say,
Reddick is going to be rough, but I think, like you said, they lost an edge rusher, so they're going to lose some production there on the line. But they beefed up the secondary, so that should help boost the edge. So they can have a little more time to get after the quarterback and stuff like that. So
I mean, give Howie credit in this aspect. Your 3 biggest losses this season, obviously, Kelsey, I think is the number one by far. But you drafted his replacement 2 years ago. So if Jurgens can't, if Jurgens not the guy or he can't stay healthy, then that's another problem. But the replacement for Kelsey is there, and he's on the
yeah,
roster, and he was playing games last year. The Reddick move, that's the sacrifice of a
still
roster.
baffling, but
Like,
yeah,
yeah, that's the sacrifice of Super Bowl roster. I mean, he's given extensions to AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley got big money, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson. Like these guys had to get paid. Someone had to go, and Reddick outplayed his contract. He was going to cost a lot, whether it was this year or next year. He was going to cost a lot. You signed Bryce Huff, like that was Howie already addressing his potential loss. So Bryce Huff is here. He's very similar to Reddick, pass rush specialist on a team where he wasn't being used on an every down basis, but he's there to be addressed. Nolan Smith was drafted in the first round last year. That's your replacement. And the third was
Yeah,
Fletcher Cox. And
I
I
think they're
mean, this one's easy.
kind of forcing
Jordan
Nolan
Davis and
Smith.
Jalen Carter, man.
Yeah, now they're kind of forcing Nolan Smith to step up. So we'll see what he's about. But I mean, I
And
guess
he's a first round pick.
if you would have told me that okay, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna lose Hassan Reddick, but in exchange, you're gonna draft two corners in the first two with your first two draft picks. You're gonna re-sign Gardner Johnson, and you're gonna sign a younger, similar mold to Reddick, but maybe not as talented guy in the Huff in a Hunt or Huff, whatever his name is. Um, I think I'd be okay with that if you told me that beforehand. But seeing how it unfolded, the fact that they couldn't work a deal out with him is still kind of bizarre to me. But like, and then
I
keeping
mean,
Sweat over Reddick, unless it's a scheme thing, unless they really don't think he's going to play well in this scheme with Fangio, that's the only thing I can think of that they were worried. But
I think Howie's thinking a year ahead. I
because
mean,
he stood up in Arizona, I believe, and when Patricia had him stand up the end of last year, he was not good. So I don't know.
yeah, I remember when he was standing up with Arizona, he was a pass rush specialist. He wasn't playing every down. That's how we got him so cheap to begin with.
Yeah.
He outplayed
Well,
that contract we gave him.
he went to Carolina on a 1 year and blew up again.
He's doing the
So
same thing. He was standing up there too. He outplayed the contract we gave him. I think Howie was thinking a year ahead, thinking, listen, I'm
very Bill
giving
Belichick
Smith,
of
I'm
him.
giving Devontae, I'm giving Landon Dickerson all this money. AJ Brown needs to be resigned. It basically came down, I think, really AJ Brown and Hassan Reddick, two free agents. AJ Brown was traded. Two guys, veteran guys, they absolutely home runned on.
Yeah.
Both got at cheap value for what their position is going for. And it was either one or the other. You couldn't keep them both. You had to keep the young guys. It was one or the other. And I think considering the draft moves they made with Nolan Smith and then you signed Bryce Huff, Reddick's name, it had to be Reddick. Yeah, you didn't really have a replacement for AJ Brown. I think this team is worse if you let AJ Brown go and trade him like all the rumors were saying than you would if you let Hassan Reddick go and trade him like we actually did.
Yeah, they weren't going to trade AJ Brown. That was
No,
nonsense.
I think that's who you're comparing between. It was which one of these veterans that you got on a cheaper contract than what they were worth and clearly outperformed it. And maybe it wasn't this year that he's getting an extension, but let's be honest. Next year he's getting like what 25 million easy a year. The
Mm.
guy's been balling. He's been absolutely insane. You just hope that Bryce Huff is going to be similar players to Son Reddick. I mean, maybe it's asking too much, but you also put a first round draft pick in Nolan Smith. The guy's got
Yeah,
to step up. And
I mean, we'll definitely see. I mean, he wasn't a starter, right? He was a rotation guy, but he did play a fair amount. So
But that's what happens when your line's deep. These
yeah,
this is
yeah,
what's nice though about first round picks. If you can bring them in slowly, it's only a good thing.
that's true.
Jordan Davis, they're another guy. He's gonna have to step up now that Fletcher Cox is gone. Jalen
Yeah,
Carter, man, if he's a 10 sack guy, if
he needs
he's
to
10,
be.
12 sacks a year, then we'll forget about
Hey,
Hassan Reddick easily.
hey, Aaron Donald just retired, so someone's got to take the throne. Best interior defensive lineman. So
All I'm saying, man, is Hassan Reddick is a 15 sack guy. If you can replace 15 sacks those with 12 of them going to Jalen Carter and maybe, I don't know, 10 of them going to Bryce Huff, then you're okay. Maybe give
so
8 to Nolan Smith, you'll be okay.
so two things. One, I'm still blown away that we extended Devontae Smith and AJ Brown before the Cowboys extended CD Lamb.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And Howie we
Um,
trust.
and how we would trust. And then secondly, a little teaser for our top tens coming up. But does Jalen Carter sniff top 10 defensive tackles for you, or is it
He
too soon?
sniffs it.
He
He
sniffs it.
sniffs it. He
Mm.
definitely sniffs it. I
Little
mean,
little good whiff coming on.
it's tough to get on him about falling off at the end of the season like he did because that's what rookies do. I mean,
Yeah.
find me a great rookie and I'll find you a
Still
downward turn in the second half of the season.
arguably got robbed of rookie of the year. He had a better year than Will Anderson, but hey,
This is where Howie's excelled since we'll say the post Chip Kelly era Howie. Pre Chip Kelly era Howie,
been
we love
fairly
to think
lights
we were
out.
yeah, we love to be the smartest man in the room and pick people that no one thought no one was even considering. post Howie, post Chip Kelly, Howie has been. I'm just going to draft guys that great. They come from great programs at great value. If they stink, then they stink, and everyone and their grandmother would have made the same pick I did. But if they don't, then they're superstars.
Mm.
And we said the same thing about Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, every single player that Howie's drafted in the last 3 years, great value, like what we assume would be great production. It's
Yeah.
time they start showing out. And I think this year is a big make and break year. I mean, Dean's going to have to play some big snaps. Carter, Davis, Smith, all of them are going to have to play big snaps. You can't get on Howie too much if half of them don't play, don't pan out because me, you, and every other person on this planet would have taken them where he took them. I probably would have taken them a little bit higher. It's the same thing with Mitchell. I had 22 or wherever we drafted him, and Cooper DeJean in the second round.
Steal.
He's getting good value, man.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that we went through. I mean, Chip Kelly era was like, that chaos stuff, and then after the Super Bowl was great, but then we started to fall apart, and then it was like, well, who's gonna go? Is it Doug? Is it Carson? Is it Howie? And I was on the fire Howie train, not Doug.
I was also on the Fire Howard train.
And
I mean, we were
we
doing this
were wrong.
podcast during that.
We were, yeah, we were wrong, I think.
I vividly remember, and listen, you got to eat your L's when they happen.
Oh
I
yeah.
vividly remember telling you multiple times that my nightmare scenario is we trade Wentz. He becomes very good with whatever team he's at, and Jalen Hurts is not that guy. And
Well,
listen, eat
opposite.
your L's when they're there. Eat your L's when they're there, because I was not right about that.
I'm glad you weren't.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, so we each have the Birds going 13-4. I think 13-12 wins is definitely very doable. Um, and
Expected.
I have them going 4-2 in the division, split with the Cowboys, split Washington. They'll sweep one of those teams, I believe. And then they should take care of the NFC South. Those should be, if not 4 wins, it should be at least 3. The Brazil games are kind of a toss up. Who fucking knows with those? And then beyond that, I think they should coast pretty easily into. I don't know if they'll get first place in the NFC, but definitely get the NFC East crown. So we'll see. It's coming
Hey,
up. First
big,
preseason game, August
big,
9th.
big expectations.
These it might be higher than last year, I would say, based on how last year ended. Coaching
Yeah.
change, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Because you got to figure the defense is almost guaranteed to be better than last year. And
I
then,
honestly cannot stress enough how big these coordinator changes are going to be. I actually think that Doug Peterson was fired because he was too stubborn to make the moves that Nick Sirianni was made. Like,
hmm,
don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think Nick Sirianni is the greatest like X's and O coach in the world, but this guy
the
I think
rah-rah
holds a
guy.
good locker room and good culture. Like, look at Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey, both retired,
Hmm.
both team leaders. They could have said whoever the hell they wanted. Jason Kelsey's got a big podcast now. He could have went for the clickbaits,
Yeah,
and both of them stood up and defended Nick Sirianni. And you tell me, oh, the locker room is lost. AJ Brown was the biggest culprit. He just signed a big extension. Like, I
yeah.
don't think the locker room was lost.
Well,
I don't think Nick Sirianni was lost in this whole
that's
thing.
Philly media for you.
I just think that, and we said this since week one last year, that Brian Johnson had no idea what the hell he was doing play calling wise. And I mean, I didn't have to tell you, you didn't have to
Most
tell me that the
vanilla play
defense
calling.
coordinator
Oh man, they were
and
so
defense
predictable.
coordinator wise, me and you didn't have to make a bold take. The Eagles went and did it for our own sakes when they fired Desai and brought in Matt Patricia week 15.
That was the dumbest thing. That was top. That was even worse than when they said, Juan Castillo, you coach offensive line. How about you go be
Oh,
defensive coordinator?
listen, man, look at the history of the Eagles
Because he wanted
coaches.
to try.
Andy Reid brought in Juan Castillo as defense coordinator.
Oh man.
Doug Peterson wanted Press Taylor as his offense coordinator. And you know what? Say what you will, both are good coaches. I'm not taking anything against Andy or Doug. They're both championship Super Bowl winning coaches. But you know what? You gotta acknowledge when you're wrong. And Doug and Andy won't do it, and Nick Sirianni did. And he went and brought. I mean, I think Vin Fangio is a great coach, great DC. But I don't, Kellen Moore. I think he's solid. I mean, I don't think he was the greatest OC in the world. Is he better than what you were getting? Absolutely. Was he a top OC on the market? I think so.
Hmm.
I think he made good adjustments. Is it easy to be offensive coordinator when you have Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and one of the best offensive linemen in the football? Easily. But at the same
Yeah,
time, you got to bring a guy that knows how to call plays, and that's not Nick Sirianni. So go get someone else.
I think it's aligning very, very well that if this team doesn't perform, barring any like significant injuries, if this team doesn't perform up to their potential, then I like if we don't, I don't know what the borderline would be here, but I could see Nick Sirianni being on the hot seat if they do not get past the divisional round with this
Yeah.
much talent. Because like
Well, I mean, you
you
gave him a
run a
pass last
defense
year.
that now you have the father of the defense, like, and he has all these weapons on the secondary now. He's got some good young rotational pieces on the line and linebackers. Uh, Linebackers look like they could be decent this year. I really liked Devin White. He's had a couple of bad years lately, but didn't really want to play last year. He wasn't motivated, and hopefully he'll play because he's due for another contract. But we'll see how that pans out. And offensively, like you said, we have top three greatest playmakers as far as like at every position. Like we had this whole talk about the schedule. Not once did we mention Saquon Barkley. Like I I have to pinch myself remembering that he's on our team. Like
Hey, you know
I
what?
can't wait to see what they did. Like they need if
Kellen, Kellen
100
Moore was
yards first
hired.
game better be.
Kellen Moore was hired before you brought in Barkley. Kellen Moore, who was the OC for Dallas, who played against Saquon Barkley 2 games every single season.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that he wasn't. I wouldn't say instrument. Like I would say he's the reason he's
I'm
an
pretty sure
Eagle
he
because
said
we
I
know
want
Howie.
him.
Yeah, we know Howie was not investing in running backs. I think that is strictly Kellen Moore went and said, I want this guy. He's available. I can build an offense around this guy and let's take it off. And I think that's part of the reason, like, we're at the point now, like, I was forgiving. I didn't want to fire Nick last year. I just thought, yeah, it was a bad year. Do I think Nick is a great X and O guy? Absolutely not.
No,
But he lost two coordinators coming off a Super Bowl season. That is tough to repeat.
it
And
is.
two, give him credit. Two guys that no one ever heard of. I never heard of Shane Steichen or Jonathan Gannon ever before Nick Sirianni hired them. And in what, a
Mhm.
year, they were suddenly head coaches? Like that's pretty impressive.
I mean, all things considered,
So
Gannon. I mean, he had a bad year, but Gannon's they had a decent draft, and as
listen, give
they
him.
might turn out
I
okay.
actually think with Gannon had one of the worst teams in football last year. I think he over. Yeah, I mean they weren't killing
I
it,
would
but
say
they
he
did pretty
overachieved.
well.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen looked like a genius. I
Oh
mean, he's
yeah.
coach of the year candidate. But like you're talking about the like Sirianni picked them out as coordinators that no one was looking at. Like
Mm-hmm.
no one. No one
Steichen
saw them as
maybe,
a good quarterbacks.
and then Gannon was
I
like the
listen,
young up and coming new guy,
I did
but
not hear a single word about Steichen up
Steichen was
until
for
Sirianni hired him.
Chargers, so
He was with the Colts.
no, it was with. Mm, now he's with
But
the
see,
Colts.
that's to my point exactly. He was
Uh,
with when Sirianni was there with Frank.
well, yeah,
But
yeah.
needless to say,
Anyways, yeah.
I think I gave. I mean, we gave Nick a pass off the
Hmm.
fact that we saw a lot of progress in the Super Bowl year. He lost two coordinators. He is definitely not necessarily an XO guy, but we definitely gave him a pass on the fact that this team fell apart and collapsed horrifically. The seat will be hot regardless because this team is loaded. There's a lot of talent. I mean, you already touched it. Top five off the line: Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown. Defense that's littered with first round picks and veteran talent. They have to perform. The expectations are sky high, but you have a roster that's sky high. Yeah, that's just how it is. Your Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore are not cheap coordinators. These guys are top notch guys. Like this, you have the roster and coach staff. You have to perform, and I'm pretty confident that they will. I'm optimistic. I think I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was trying to find Saquon had a quote about what it was like going into practice last week, but I can't
But
find it.
from a dumpster fire to like a field of greens.
He was something like he was like I was like kind of blown away walking onto the practice field because it was like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, like He's
Not
like,
Daniel Jones tripping over his shoelaces and the offensive line, tearing their hamstring before they get on the field.
I wonder if the first play, like his first handoff, he just like goes yard for like 80 yards because he's like, I didn't know what to do with myself in New
Oh,
York. I never
honestly,
had a
I
line.
I really like. I mean, this is the best offense he's had ever by
Oh, for
far.
sure.
This is
I
the
mean,
best
it's not even
offensive
a
line he's
question.
had ever by far, and he's really produced. Like this is going to be the best year of Saquon Barkley's
It
career
should be.
by far. A coordinator that you got to be honest, a coordinator that specifically pointed him out and game planned for him. I have to think that Kellen Moore's part of his like I should be your offense coordinator pitch was Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like he wasn't far from home with the Giants, but like again, a bit of a coming home for him. I think a lot of his, if I remember correctly, him and his dad, I think, were Jets fans, but I think his family is mostly Eagles fans. So, but it'll be nice. I'll have a lot of family at the games and stuff.
Well, hey, you know what? We can enter on that. All three of us, me, you, and Saquon Barkley, are surrounded by great people.
Yes.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Absolutely. So we'll see. I'm excited. I mean, I wish the year would slow down. Like I said, we're already about to be in June, but that also means we'll be 3 months away from football. So that's also exciting.
It's right around the corner, baby.
Crazy times. Well, if you're not watching, to anyone else listening, highly recommend women's college softball. It's been very good. This past weekend we had a lot of overtime games. Crazy stuff going on. Men's World Series as well. I heard that's been pretty entertaining. So there was a walk off. I don't remember who it was. The pitcher like wasn't paying attention, and the game was tied in the 10th inning, and the guy on third literally stole home to win the game because the pitcher wasn't paying attention.
Stay on your P's and Q's.
Crazy, but that's about what's going on baseball season right now. So, and
hey, well, you know what? Baseball
basketball,
season,
who cares?
June 9th, Busch Light in your Cheerios and
Busch Light
everyone
and
else.
Cheerios.
Because I stay up until 1 a.m. to watch the Phillies and Eagles. So you better be up at 9 a.m. to watch the Phillies.
Send me a reminder.
I know. Be there or be square.
Airmail me my Bud Light.
Yeah, I'm working on it. You get a Busch Light, not a Bud. Relax there.
Busch Light. What's the beer of choice there? Is that what it is? A Busch Light?
No, but that's what you deserve.
Okay.
Till next time.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.